everyone. Happy to present the Women in Carnatic Music series part 2. I'll be focusing on the Trinity Queens of Carnatic music. There are so many women today in the Carnatic music world, but these three women made a difference when the Carnatic music field was completely dominated by men. So even to the point that performing on stage, it was not considered a good thing in the community. They were not provided opportunities and no awards for women. They literally considered women cannot do justify to Carnatic music in those times. So these three women made a difference and changed all that in that whole field. So just wanted to focus on the three women, and then there's so many after them, so they actually set the stage for all the other women, I guess. Quick references. I read, got some of these materials from Carnatic Summers by V. Sriram, and then Wikipedia, of course, and some web articles. Now, I just showing an old picture. So if you see from the left, the second person is M.L. Vasanta Kumari. The third person is D.K. Patama. And the one in the front, the fourth person, not the one behind, that's M.S. Subbulakshmi. These three are the women who we're going to talk about today. So the first one will go to M.S. Subbulakshmi. As many of you know, she's a very, very popular artist. She goes by Madurai. She goes by MS. Her full name is Madurai Shanmaga Vadivu Subbulakshmi. So we call her fondly as MS. So the name just MS means MS Subbulakshmi. You can call her the superstar of Carnatic music, and she was truly a superstar. She was born in Madurai, September 16th, 1916. She was very popular for her divine voice and her style with full of devotion, with bhakti and bhavam. She has moved millions of people, right from like prime ministers, like politicians, to even just common people. So her voice recordings, as you all know, we still heard regularly all across the world today in the homes of music enthusiasts. I'm sure you all play her music, prayers, bhajans, chants, film songs, classical kathis, you name it. Her songs are very popular. She was called fondly as Kunchama at her home. She was taught music at a very young age and also trained on the veena. She had a high-pitched voice, clear voice. It was generally understood that she would emerge as a very good vocalist because she had a really good voice and all that. But not sure if anyone at that point imagined to the level of fame that would be hers today. She's just all over the world today. Kunjama's first guru was Madurai Srinivasa Iyengar. Then she was taught by various other gurus. She has learned from multiple people, but most of her formal training actually was over by the age of 10. By the age of 10, she had learned majority of the stuff that she needs to learn. Of course, she learned from Simangudi Srinivasa Iyer also. She realized the proper alignment to Shruti. So she adhered to this praiseworthy quality throughout her singing career. At the age of 9, Kunjama was put on stage for the first time at a function. She made a powerful impression and was approached by a representative of the Gramophone Company of India to record her voice for a 78 RPM plate. Her first disc was released at the age of 10. Can you believe she did the first recording at the age of 10? Major turning point came about in 1932 when the Mahamakam festival of Kumbakonam was observed. She was actually, there's a little story there. She was given a slot that's not prime by the organizers, but the concert was a tremendous success and forced the organizers to invite her to perform in the prime slot. After this, her mother took her daughter to Madras. So Madras was the kind of, the hub for Carnatic music. She met Veena Dhanammal there, and who was the senior-most artist at that time, and blessed the girl and predicted a bright future for her. Her mother managed even to get an afternoon slot for MS at the Music Academy. The concert was a great success. She was becoming popular slowly. Now, the popular weekly at that time, Anand the Vikatan, as many of you know, decided to do a special feature on her in 1936. This was tasked to T. Sadasivam, one guy who was the advertising manager at that time. It was then Sadashivam began closely interacting with the young MS and soon became her manager for daily concerts and schedules. So at this time, he was still her manager. Okay. Her mother, a traditional woman, wishing nothing less for her daughter than a wealthy person. She was not very happy with the close interaction between Sadasivan and MS. She took her daughter back to Madurai, and nothing happened for a period of 6 months. So MS, without her mother knowing, boarded a train to Madras. And one day she just finally thought of leaving her house and just boarded a train to Madras and managed to reach Sadasivam's house. He immediately took her under protection and started working on building a career for her, negotiating concert opportunities. Of course, this made a lot of people upset, including her mother. But eventually, they both married. They got married. So even before that, so she started acting in movies. MS has acted as a heroine in the movie Seva Sadanam. It was a tremendous success, and MS, she became a star now. So she also acted in the movie Shakuntalai with GNB as GN Balasubramaniam, who was, he was an artist, a senior artist at that time. He was very popular. He was a hero. After this movie is when this marriage of Sadasivam with MS happened, who played a great role in her concerts and popularity. So Sadasivam just he planned everything. So he managed every aspect of her concert, song lists, who is going to accompany her, how should the mic be positioned in her concert, her clothes. He controlled everything, and he made sure that everything is in proper place. And she became very popular because of all the things probably he did. MS then acted in the movie Meera in Tamil and remade it in Hindi. She became popular all over India. So this movie was really popular and had fans all over India. By then, her music, she was maturing, and she became singing. She became like, her music became more with expressions and devotion. So it's just, it just melted your heart when you hear her music. MS was well known to national leaders. She sang many bhajans for Mahatma Gandhi. Now, before I look at the awards, let me play a couple of songs here. So this is from the movie Meera. Can you hear it?
Yes.
Yeah.
As you can see, she was really pretty and she sang so beautifully too. That was in the movie Meera, that's Emma Subbulakshmi. And then one more, this is, I'll come back to this after I go through the awards. Can you see my presentation again?
Yes.
Okay. So these are like her accomplishments, right? She was the first woman to receive Sangeeta Kalanidhi Award in 1968. There were no Sangeeta Kalanidhis at the Music Academy. She was the first woman to receive it. She was the first musician ever to be awarded the Bharat Ratna, India's highest civilian honor. First Indian musician to receive Ramon Magsaysay Award in 1974. First Indian who performed in the United Nations General Assembly in 1966. She had also received a Presidential Award from the Government of India and Padma Bhushan in 1954. She performed all over the world. She traveled to London, New York, Canada, Far East, and other places as India's cultural ambassador. She has performed at the Edinburgh International Festival of Music and Drama in 1963, Carnegie Hall, New York, of course, the UN General Assembly that was in 1966, Royal Albert Hall, London in 1982, Festival of India in Moscow in 1987. This is some of her awards. I'm just highlighting, there may be many more, but just with major one. I have a clip of the one that she's performing at the UN. Let me play that.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to present the artist of the evening, Srimati M.S. Subbulakshmi.
So that's a short clip from the UN in 1966. So this let me see. Oh, that's so she performed many concerts for charity. She was very popular. She was giving so many concerts, and then she started performing for charity. She would just go do someone asked for a donation. She would go and do a concert and donate the whole thing to for that purpose. Her husband died in 1997. So basically, until that point, he was managing everything for her. So she stopped all her public performances after the death of her husband in 1997. She was sick a little bit after that, and then she passed away December 12, 2004. But until then, she still lives with us today through all her music. So it's just pretty amazing. Now I move on to D.K. Pattamal. So it's the second woman that we're going to talk about. Till the early years of 20th century, pursuing a career in music was taboo as far as women of the upper castes of South India. D.K. Pattamal was born into a Brahmin, extremely orthodox family. She took music as a career. Ragam, Tanam, Pallavis and Kalpana Swarams were considered beyond the reach of lady artists. Can you believe they won't allow them to do any Manodharmam in those days? All they can do is probably sing a song. She changed that. Blessed with a weighty voice, she sang the works of Muthuswami Dikshidhar and Papanasam Sivan with full of emotions that made all the difference. Pattamal, D.K. Pattamal and M.S. Subbulakshmi, they are pretty much of the same kind of age. So they were, performing at the same time. M.S. Subbulakshmi was, she came from a different region and different family background. D.K. Pattamal came from a different family background. So that made some differences there. Pattamal was born on March 28, 1919 in Kanchipuram, near Chennai in Tamil Nadu. Her father, Damal Krishnaswamy Dikshidhar, and mother Kantimati alias Rajammal. She was, of course, born in a Brahmin, extremely orthodox family. Um, as far as the family background goes, Patamal's mother could sing to some extent, and father knew some ragas to write some verses to tune and teach them to his daughter. When she was 7, she sang a song at the family wedding, and this impressed a music teacher in the gathering, and he volunteered to train her formally in music. So this person who, sorry, so this person who they called the Telugu Vadya. So he came regularly and taught her and her brother. She had, I think, more than one brother. One is D.K. Ranganathan for a few years. Living in Kanchipuram, Patamal was naturally attracted to Kanchipuram Naina Pillai. He was a very popular artist. She would go listen to his concerts and absorb his music style to the greatest extent possible. Though Patamal never learned directly from him, so she was basically what she was just listening and taking all his style and stuff, but she never had the opportunity to learn from him directly. Ammukutti Ammal, the headmistress of the school that DKP attended, recognized her talents and encouraged her actively. In the 1920s, she gave Patamal the star role in a musical, which was greatly applauded, and the report got published in a Tamil newspaper along with DKP's photo. So this was happening in her school, and she kind of, did a really good job, and then it got someone from the audience or somebody who published the whole thing in the newspaper. So the family of D.K. Patamal, they were in huge shock because it was not normal, especially she's from a good caste woman, how a family hold. They never had their photographs published in a newspaper. So they were just really upset about the whole thing. To further compound the matter, one of the gramophone companies contacted her father stating that it would be pleased to record and release songs rendered by his daughter. In his father's mind, 78 RPM plates, they don't actually play in kind of, reputable places. So they were all played at all kinds of disreputable places. So he also feared that nobody is going to marry his daughter. So these are all the concerns he had. So he was just totally upset about the whole thing. Finally, a family friend, Dr. R. Srinivasan, stepped in and convinced her father to encourage her talents. The father reluctantly agreed. Thus began her music journey. She had barely had any formal lessons at this time, so she was just learning some from her, from here and there, and that's all the training she had. The 78 RPM records still, they were successful. There's also another multifaceted personality and novelist, Vai Mu Kodainayaki Ammal, who played a role in convincing her father to let D.K. Patamal take music as her career. So there was multiple people who kind of recognized her talented and made sure that her father is kind of, understanding her talents and bringing it out. With her father finally accepting a concert is not a bad thing after all, right? So Patamal was encouraged to learn. So finally she started her formal training from different sources. She learned from Chinnamma, a local singer initially, and also trained under Vaidyanathan. Vaidyanathan, a student of Ariyakudi Ramanujayangar, and also under Naina Pillai's student N.S. Krishnaswamy Iyengar. However, it was attending Naina Pillai's concerts that provided her the greatest learning opportunity. So she absorbed a lot from just listening to him, how he is rendering the Pallavis, the Tirupugar, and all those things. She learned the songs in the original talas, many of which were considered unsuitable for lady artists. So if it's a complicated tala, people thought that it's not it's not suitable for lady artists in those days. So they won't even teach the women in those days. So Patamal broke all those things. She learned all the complicated stuff. She learned Pallavis in complicated fashion. So she broke all those things. So Patamal's father made sure she put in many hours of practice. Now he has agreed that she's going to take music as the career. So now she is making sure that she is practicing well. She was invited to perform for the corporation radio at that time. Now it's called All India Radio, of course. And she also learned to play veena and violin. So she learned both, two instruments actually. So the turning point came when she arrived in Madras to participate in a government polytechnic examination of music. The examiners were Professor Sambamurthy, Tiger Vardacharya, and Ambi Dikshidhar. Ambi Dikshidhar is son of Subramanya Dikshidhar, and she is the descendant of Muthuswami Dikshidhar. She sang Sri Subramanya Namaste in Kamboji for the exam. She was awarded high marks by the examiners. Moreover, Ambi Dikshidhar requested them to stay in Madras for a few more days and taught her 4 or 5 songs from him. Unfortunately, after that Madras thing, when he went back, Ambi Dikshidhar passed away, so she could not learn more from him. She had just had that brief days of learning from him. In 1932, Patamal received her first invitation to sing a full-length concert in Madras. This was at the RR Sabha, and her concert was greatly appreciated. Many opportunities came after that, and she traveled to Bombay in 1934 to give concerts there. She and her brother Jayaraman. So if you could see this picture, that's her brother. So they also they kind of has performed together in many concerts. And they were now learning from Papanasam Shivan directly. Papanasam Shivan is a composer, and they were learning from him directly, to the point that Patamal and Jayaraman, they were like his own children for Papanasam Shivan. They spent almost every day with him. It was Shivan who got Patamal to consider playback opportunities in films. So she was now trying to. In those days, classical music was part of the film, so a lot of these singers also got opportunities to play in, to sing in movies. So Patamal, her concerts was like, she sang with this weighty voice, right? So it was like when you listen to Patamal's concert, it was like taking a slow boat ride. You're kind of taking all the beauty of the riverside with the mind in a state of complete relaxation. That's how her concerts were. Patamal's concerts were completely handled. So the managing of the concerts were completely handled by his father until he passed away in 1940. The same year, she was married to R. Ishwaran, that's her husband. So he took over the reins, and the couple had 3 sons. So they had 3 sons. Life, after marriage, for especially from this kind of family background, it brought a lot of changes and adjustments for Patamal. Among them was the fact that he could not spend much time with Papanasam Shivan because they were learning from him every day, and that got changed. Another thing is, she was singing some songs in the movies, and her husband never liked watching films. So she was singing in the movies, but she never actually saw the films in which she herself sang until much later. I think it's almost after her husband died, she never watched those films. Patamal had taken a decision never to sing romantic songs or duet for films. Her songs were mostly religious or kind of nationalistic in content. She also learned from T.L. Venkatrama Iyer, whom she had met while learning from Dikshidhar. From her early concert days, she had her brothers Nagarajan and Jayaraman accompany. Pretty much as I said, D.K. Jayaraman remained her accompanist for many years. So before I go to the awards, just a few more stories. So Patamal enjoyed great popularity not only among the music-loving audiences but also among fellow musicians. Flute Mali was among the foremost of her admirers. So there's another short story about Flute Mali. So there was this time where they had like D.K. Patamal's concert and then followed by Flute Mali's concert. So if you have heard about Flute Mali, he was very eccentric in character, and it's really funny to kind of it was a nightmare for the organizers to have Flute Mali's concert, and it's really funny to hear these stories. So Flute Mali came attend. He was totally enjoying D.K. Patamal. He came well ahead of Patamal's concert because his concert was scheduled right after hers. He came, he enjoyed the whole concert, Patamal, and then he left right after that. The organizers were looking for him for his concert, his own concert. He didn't show up, he just left. That's one of the funny stories I heard about Flute Mali. So here again, Patamal received Sangeeta Kalanidhi of Music Academy in the year 1970. The story around her Sangeeta Kalanidhi award was her teacher T.L. Venkatramayar was very sick at that time when she was announced to be the Sangeeta Kalanidhi for that year, and he could not attend that function. So after the function, she drove to her house and to show the award and bless. He passed away the next day. So it was like he was almost waiting for her to get the Sangeeta Kalanidhi award, and he just passed away right after that. Now, Patamal traveled to the US for the Music Association of North America. She sang in France, Europe, and Canada. She received many awards. Isai Peraringer from Tamil Isai Sangam, Padma Vibhushan from Government of India, Music Academy Special Platinum Jubilee Award. So in mid 1980s, she cut down on her concert schedule. She had some old age problems, but she enjoyed watching films on television, and she was not allowed to watch films earlier in her life. She made up for that in her later life. She was watching movies, and that's when she actually got to see some of the movies actually she sang for, which they were not allowed to have these small joys earlier in her life. So she was a very cheerful person, as I've heard. She's always smiling, and even though she was in old age, she was wheelchair bound, she was always very, very cheerful and at peace with herself. Now, before she passed away in 2009, July 16, I will play a couple of songs of T.K. Patamal.
எப்படி பாடினரோ எப்படி பாடினரோ அடியார் எப்படி பாடினரோ அடியார் எப்படி பாடினரோ அடியார் அப்படி பாட நான் ஆசை கொண்டேன் சிவனே எப்படி பாடினரோ அப்பரும் சுந்தரரும் ஆளுடை பிள்ளையும் அப்பரும் சுந்தரரும் ஆளுடை பிள்ளையும் அப்பரும் சுந்தரரும் ஆளுடை பிள்ளையும் அருண்மணி வாசகரும் பொருளுணர்ந்து புன்னையே அருண்மணி வாசகரும் பொருளுணர்ந்து புன்னையே எப்படி பாடினரோ அடியாரப்படி பாட நான் ஆசை கொண்டேன் சிவனே எப்படி பாடினரோ.
So that's one of her songs from concert. Now, this song is supposed to be one of her the first song she sang for films. So I'll play this shortly.
கண்ணலம் கருதி தாயாற்றை மறந்தா நானில போனகையாரோ இந்த நானில போனகையாரோ சேவை
So they had such many songs when, especially during at that time when India was under British rule and they was trying to get freedom from the British. So they were like having songs that are like nationalistic in nature. That's one of those songs. Now back to the presentation. We move on to M.L. Vasantakumari. So D.K. Patamal, M.S. Subhakshmi, M.L. Vasantakumari. M.L. Vasantakumari is probably the youngest. They are all kind of more or less the same period where they were becoming popular and making a difference in the music world. So she goes by MLV, Madras Lalitangi Vasantakumari. Born on July 3rd, 1928, she was the only child of Ayaswamy Iyer and Madras Lalitangi. Her father, Ayaswamy Iyer, trained under Kottavasal Venkatrama Iyer, a famed composer and musician. He was particularly popular for singing Tyagaraja Kritis. He also became well versed in Hindustani music. So her father was a musician. So he was not a popular musician, but he kind of started teaching music. So he could not make a difference like in the stage performances, and he took teaching as his career. Her mother Lalitangi had already made a mark for herself as a performing artist. Iyer became a well-known source for rare compositions, and their house became a meeting point for several musicians. So several musicians used to come to their place for just impromptu sessions and learn music from her father. So the music was already flowing in her family at the time. Basanti, MLV, she was an only child, of course, and grew up in a house full of music. But her parents did not want her to take up music because they found it it's very difficult to make a difference. She was admitted to the Good Shepherd convent in the town. They wanted her to pursue medicine. When Emily was about 8, her mother's career began to wane owing to asthma attacks. The family was depending on Iyer's tuition for survival. So basically, her mom probably not singing that much on and off because of her health, and father was just making money out of just tuition. In the mid 1930s, Iyer became a guru to the children of one Dr. U. Rama Rao. Once a yogi came from Mysore came to their house. This yogi, he had known several songs of Purandara Dasa and other dasas. Many of these songs were first heard in Madras at that time, so nobody kind of knew Purandara Dasa's songs or other Dasa songs at that time. And Iyer and Lalitangi learned these songs from him. In 1939, Lalitangi and MLV completed. So Emily was barely like 11 years at that time, so she was also learning, and then they completed writing down the notation for several of the songs. Now Lalitangi wanted to have them published, but due to World War II at that time, they had to leave Madras for safety. With the help of R. Rangaramanuja Iyengar, and Iyer even sold some of his ancestral land. Purandara Mani Mala was published in 1949. So they kind of put all the money into that and kind of wanted the book to be published. So if you look at this, MLV had actually worked on a book when she was barely 13. The book was a success. So it's amazing. So the opportunity she got to learn and work at that age. In 1941, her mom was to perform at Bangalore. She was performing on and off, but again, her health was not in a good place, so she had an asthma attack, and the organizers decided to have MLV sing at the time. So the concert was a success, and a few months later, she was called in to give an 78 RPM record. In 1942, Lalitangi, her mom, D.K. Patamal, and G.N. Balasubramaniam, they had assembled together for a program at the All India Radio. So GNB quickly noticed MLV on hearing her sing. He offered to take her as his disciple. That's how she became a disciple of G.N. Balasubramaniam. Encouraged by her parents and guru, MLV took music and soon established a career at the level of D.K. Patamal and M.S. Subbulakshmi. Her concerts had fast, brisk swaras and crazy rendition of songs, along with imagination and creative power. She also honed to perfection a technique called Shruti Bedam. So it's kind of shifting the kind of from one Shruti to then within GNB had made those Shruti Bedam in concert platforms. So it's basically shifting the tonal from one to another while rendering in the same within the same raga, and then they come back to they come back and join to the previous raga that they were rendering. So later she underwent training under Mudikonda and Venkatrama Iyer and acquired mastery over Pallavis. This is again in an era where women were just emerging into musical territories that had been forbidden to them. So basically, M. Subbulakshmi, D.K. Patamal and MLV, they were the first women who kind of started exploring these areas where women were not allowed to explore at that point of time. So, as I said, classical music was part of film world. So all these artists also sang for the films. The film world soon welcomed MLV. So actually, MLV was a more popular playback singer compared to the other two. She has sung more songs. The first song was Yenna Anandam, a duet with M.K. Tyagaraja Bhagavathar. It was a big hit at that time. M.K. Tyagaraja Bhagavathar was already popular in the movies at that time. I'll quickly play that song. That was her first song in the film. The film at that period had like many classical songs, so she got many opportunity to sing. She also sang many dance songs. She was very popular for singing dance songs for the Travancore sisters, who were Lalita Padmini and Ragini at that time, and Kumari Kamala. So a string of big hits. All of the songs got really popular. From like from, she had like different genres too, like I think there was a song called Ayya Swami in Oriravu, to classical. It's all combination. She started singing all combinations of songs in the film. So to classical, Ellam Inbamayam. I'll play one other song that was really popular, and the Travancore sisters. There was a dance, a small dance in that piece.
சின்னஞ்சிறு கிளியே கண்ணம்மா சின்னஞ்சிறு கிளியே கண்ணம்மா செல்வ களஞ்சியமே சின்னஞ்சிறு கிளியே கண்ணம்மா செல்வ களஞ்சியமே என்னை கலித்தீர்த்த உலகில் என்னை கலித்தீர்த்த உலகில் ஏற்றம் புரிய வந்தாய் சின்னஞ்சிறு கிளியே கண்ணம்மா சின்னஞ்சிறு கிளியே பிள்ளைக்கண்ணே அமுதே கண்ணம்மா பேசும் பொற்றித்திரமே பிள்ளைக்கண்ணே அமுதே கண்ணுமா பேசும் பொற்றித்திரமே அள்ளி அணைத்திடவே முன்னே அள்ளி அணைத்திடவே முன்னே ஆடி வரும் தேனே சின்னஞ்சேழியே கண்ணம்மா சின்னஞ்சேரி கேழியே.
That's one other popular song of M.L. Vasanthakumari. Her father was managing her career throughout. So she married in 1951 Vikadam Krishnamurthy, and they had a daughter and son. And her daughter is Srividya, who's also a popular cine star, and son Shankara Raman. In 1952, she is said to have interacted with Bade Ghulam Ali Khan, a popular Hindustani artist, and they also performed an impromptu Jugalbandi together. So she was kind of she's learned Hindustani and how to interact with, for Jugalbandi and all that. So in 1955, the second edition of Purandara Manimala came out. This is like the second version of the first book they published in when she was barely like 13 years old. Unfortunately, her mother passed away before that book got published, and the book was released as a memorial to her. Till then, everything was managed by her mother and father. Life was really good. With her passing, the happy days for MLV came to an end. So what happened was that both Iyer and MLV, they were not good at finance. So people started taking advantage of that, and matters soon went downhill quickly. Iyer passed away in 1960, and things became really worse. But however, in her career, she was doing really well. She was traveled overseas. She did a concert tour in Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Singapore, Nepal, and in 1976 she came her first visit to the USA, and she had many awards to her credit too. In 1967 she got the Padma Bhushan Award. In 1970, Sangeet Natak Academy Award. In 1970, she got a honorary doctorate degree from Mysore University, and that was especially regards to the Purandaradasa's contributions to music. So for the two books they published, and and I think she sang many of Purandaradasa's songs in her concerts. In 1977, she got the Sangeeta Kalanidhi Award from Music Academy, and also got Isai Peraringer Award from Tamil Isai Sangam the same year. In 1987, Sangeeta Kala Shikamani from Indian Fine Arts Society, Chennai. These are some of the few awards she had for her recognitions. So MLB as a person. So there's some stories to talk about. She loved life to her fullest. She had many friends. She was a great conversationalist, a good cook, and a talented piano artist as well. And she was very fluent in English. She went to the convent schools, and she loved traveling. And cricket too was her passion. So it's an interesting story. Once somebody saw her at the Chepauk Stadium cheering the cricket team during the day, and then she went home in the evening to change into a suitable sari and going off to perform at a concert. In the mid 1970s, she got a job at the Rishi Valley Public School at Madanapalli. At that time, it was Palakkad Mani Iyer who persuaded MLV to move to Rishi Valley. So she had she was interacting with Palakkad Mani Iyer, and Palakkad Mani Iyer was supporting her. So there, the two geniuses at the school would get together and make divine music. So just like the students, they all had like really good time listening to these two geniuses. Palakkad Maniyan, he was not accompanying lady artist at that time, other than D.K. Patamal, but he began accompanying MLV. Despite heavy concert schedule, MLV sincerely taught students at Rishi Valley. The grand finale was the staging of Abhignana Shakuntalam by the students of the school at the Music Academy. She not only scored music but also designed costumes and props. The play was a great success. MLB remained a top notch artist till the end. She helped many accompanying artists come up. So she was very supportive of her accompanying artists. A. Kanyakumari was one. So you all know A. Kanyakumari, who's a violinist. She was almost like her daughter. Many Mridangam artists, Tanjavur Krishnamurti Rao, Mannargudi Ishwaran, Sri Mushnam Raja Rao, Ganjira Ravi Shankar was her find. She was a loving guru. She taught many students free of charge despite her own financial troubles. In December season of 1988, she was to perform at Krishnagana Sabha on Christmas morning. So a few minutes before the concert, an ambulance arrived and she was carried to the green room. When the curtain went up, she was on stage smiling, though her health was kind of not in good shape. She sang Shubhabantuvarali, a melancholic melody that served to reflect everyone's anguish over her state of health. Many wept openly. It was a very moving concert. At the end of the concert, she was taken away to the hospital, and she was diagnosed with cancer, and she was suffering a little bit at the end. The end came on October 31st, 1990. And as I mentioned, she was a wonderful person. I mean, just reading about her, she was. It's amazing to read about some not just as an artist, as a person. She just such a wonderful person and guru to read about. And people who have interacted with her are truly blessed. That comes to the end of the session. That's all I have to present today.